Welcome to Hanging Out with Robert, that's me. This video contains things that I encounter throughout the day. If for some reason I complete a task and you would like to see the details, you can click on the link in the description area below. This video also contains tips and tricks that I learned throughout the years. I plan on leaving this video accessible for about 30 days. After that, you can view it through my Patreon account. Thank you very much for watching. Time to get started, day 2 of the teardown. I am really surprised it took me so long yesterday to get what I got done. I thought I was going to be done with this yesterday. Oh, man, that thing almost went back and hit the windshield. Went up a lot higher than I expected. The hinges are broken. Anyway, let me get cracking. This just dug into here. It looked like it had dug into this fender before. See, I thought this fender was perfect. I was going to take these fenders and possibly sell them, but they're damaged, mildly damaged. Let me get this off of here. Alright, well, it appears that the fenders is what's stopping the hood from going up. Maybe I'll take them anyway. They're not that bad, but that is interesting. For a second, I thought about taking the hood off, but I don't think I want to drive down the road without that hood attached, and then I'd have to get it to the junkyard somehow. They don't fit inside the cars. Had to heat up that end link, get that off, put vice grips on it. These came out pretty easy. That one didn't come out. It's IPD lowering springs, man. They look like they got some rust on them. Probably not worth the effort. I got the transmission mount off, moved the power steering lines, got this stuff loose here, getting ready to remove this one, remove the one on the other corner and lower that one, and we should be able to get this transmission out. I got all the bolts out except for one. I have subframe bolt out over here, subframe bolt out over here. I have the engine supported by the jack stand. I got this subframe bolt loose. Got that subframe bolt out. Subframe not falling down. Forgot to take the bolt out of that steering column. So I'm probably going to put a subframe bolt back in, take that bolt out of that steering column, and then remove that subframe bolt. Got the transmission out. Getting ready to pull the clutch pressure plate, single mass flywheel. Then I'm gonna get this stuff back up. The rear hydraulic mount came apart. No big deal to me. Not holding anything anyway. I'm probably gonna have to jack this engine up and somehow brace it. Maybe put a 2x4 or 4x4 in there. Get that engine held up, or I'll have to pull the engine block. That's 175 pounds, 60 pounds heavier than the transmission. Maybe that's with the flywheel on it. So if I take the flywheel off, maybe that'll be 150 pounds. I think I'll try that. Get the block out of it. Then put the subframe back up after I get the exhaust out and start working on the rest of the car. The pieces I want to take with me, definitely got to get that anti-sway bar out of there. Oh, forgot, got this front engine mount here. That'll hold that block up. Need to get that bolt back in that mount there. Hold that engine in position after I get this flywheel and clutch off of it. Got the clutch and pressure plate off. Man, these bolts were kind of tight in there. I couldn't get it off with my Makita. I had to go to my big dog to get it off. Thing's only supposed to be torqued at 18 foot-pounds. I don't get it. Anyway, it looks like those are T60s. Let me try to get those off of there. I got Henrietta here to do it. Get that single mass flywheel off, and the back of all those bolts had oil on them, so it is important to put thread sealer on them. To get the flywheel off, you got to pry it on 2 points. So I pried the bottom out, stuck the pry bar in there, left it in there, went up, put my hand in the center of it, pried the top of it off, came right off. Now I got to get this engine back on this engine mount and put the bolt back in that. Should have that bolt up around here somewhere. Now this flywheel had T55 bolts in it. Fortunate for me, I had one of those, and I think it was actually an impact socket. Used Henrietta to get those out. When I pried the top off, I was able to catch it easily with the other hand. So let me go ahead, get this in this mount, get my anti-sway bar off of here, get this exhaust out of here, and reattach this subframe so I could get the rest of this car apart I want. Got this IPD anti-sway bar out. Those 14s were in there pretty tight. Now I'm gonna get the shift cables out and the slave cylinder and the pedals and all the manual shift parts. Look like I got some stress going on here with some wiring. Woohoo! Time for me to take all the parts out the inside and get it. My buddy Dan the Man thinks he wants this R bumper. It's got a little bit of damage on it right here. That might feel easy, I don't know. I think I'm gonna take everything out of this interior except for the back seats. A lot of good stuff here. Carpet and all, doors and all. Guess that's a leather steering wheel. I don't know what kind of boost case that is. Never seen that brand before, I don't think. Ready to come off. Hey, this is Robert. I wanted to take a few minutes and tell you about my world-class, world-famous warranty. Some people ask me when I come do some work for them, work on their car, work around their house, whatever, help them out with some stuff. Hey, Robert, how long's the warranty? I give my customers the same warranty I gave my mama. 38 minutes. Whether I'm tearing the engine apart, swapping the transmission, clutch, pressure plate, rear main seal, coolant, pipes, ABS system, exhaust work, whatever we got going on. 9 times out of 10, I have traveled to your location. And when I'm done, I'm going to say, hey, I think it's all ready to go. It's going to take me 38 minutes to load up my car and get out of there. Now, you can spend that 38 minutes chit-chatting, reminding and reminiscing about the great time we had together, or you could take that 38 minutes and test your equipment or your car to make sure everything's going together right. Because once I leave that area, it's really no good for me to tell you and have you expecting to have some kind of warranty on that work. If I'm 800, 1200, 2200 miles away, me telling you got a warranty is pretty much a waste of time. So I give you the same warranty I gave my mama when I used to go to her place, fix stuff around there. 38 minutes. Once I load up that car and I'm gone, I'm out. Thanks for watching and understanding. I'm going to be removing the pedals from the S70. First thing I did was take the lower dash panel out. One screw usually. Get it out however you have to. Next, I took the knee bolster out, couple 13s here, couple 13s behind here, 4 12 millimeters here. Next, I took the return spring off. You just pull it down from the top, undo it from there, it comes right off the side. That's the return spring helper. Pull that off. Next, I pulled this switch out of here. That was pretty easy. Here and on the other side, you got squeeze tabs where the flat part is. Squeeze those in, pull that in. Next, I'm going to pull that bracket bolt out right there and unclip the clutch pedal from right there. This little clip there to release the master cylinder. Next, I'm going to pull that bolt out of the steering column. Try to get this out of the way a little bit. That might be a 10, 12, 13, I don't know. Let me see. 13 millimeter. Next, I'm going to pull this clip off of the brake pedal lever and release the brake booster. Once you had the bolt out of here, this just comes off of that real easy. I disconnected from the rack on the other side, so that made that real easy. Then I'm going to take the switch out. It's best, once you get this pedal loose, to push that switch all the way in, release the tabs, and pull it. Next, I took that upper long bolt out. I got a 14 box on this side, put a 15 on that side, undid the bolt. Now let me see if I can slide this bolt out, if the pedals will come down. Yep, long bolt. It went all the way over toward this left side and the pedals dropped down. So let me see if I can maneuver them out of here and go from there. Took them apart and they came right out. Now I'm going to see if that bracket up there can be removed. Maybe that could be placed over to an 850. That bracket did come out, 12 millimeter up top. T40 holding the master cylinder in. Came right out. Then I got the master cylinder out by taking the 13 millimeter off from there and removing all 4 to 13 millimeters over there on the brake booster. I went outside, pried the brake booster out with a long pry bar and maneuvered the master cylinder out under the brake booster. So it's out. So there's the brake booster, still connected to the bottle. I disconnected the bottle, but they're trapped under those brake lines. So I'm going to disconnect the line from the bottle, pull the bottle out, and I'm going to take this bottle with me. I pulled the pin out of it. It wasn't damaged, so I can use it on another car. Got some clouds trying to sprinkle on me a little bit. Just a few drops. Hadn't posed any problem. However, I was getting ready to pull the shifter. I got the cables loose down here. I seen this wire. I'm like, what the heck is that? They broke that clip somehow and wired that thing down like that. Very creative. I guess it holds, but I might order one of those clips. Taking the shifter out of a 70 series car is pretty nice. Take those two 10 millimeter bolts out there, knock that clip loose from the firewall. They're already disconnected from the transmission out there, or go disconnect them. Take this little T25 out to get this harness out of your way. Take these 4 12 millimeter bolts loose there, 4 corners, and take these 12 millimeters loose on the sides. The nice thing about the 70 series cars is they don't have something in between them down here that makes you have to take the cables loose from the shifter. So you can leave the cable on the shifter and pull them through the firewall all the way up through the floor here and have it out of the way. You don't have to mess around with these clips and separating the cables and pushing them through, and none of that stuff. They just come right in with the shifter still attached. Took the pin out the gas pedal, moved it out of the way, and lifted the shifter up, pulled it in with the cable. Whole thing came in. I'm good to go. Now I can work on taking the dash out. I got the shifter out there on the ground. I got the subframe up, no axles, no proper steering, I could grab the wheel and turn them the way I want them to be turned. But it looks like that engine's going to be okay on that mount, hopefully. Should be. And I'm going to go ahead and put a couple tires on this thing and work on the inside, raise the back, get the stuff I want out of the rear end. Decided to pull the engine wire harness from the ECU over to the battery cable, everything in between. The temp wires on this side that goes to the ambient temperature sensor. Made a mistake, cut that one off, so that one need to be fixed. Other than that, the wire harness is intact. Decided to pull the radiator. It looked pretty new. Condenser and intercooler. So I got a couple of tires on. I'm gonna jack the front up, get the jack stands from under it, let this thing on the ground, and tie the hood down. I think I got everything I want from under the hood, but I need to get this windshield, so I'm gonna have to raise it tomorrow to cut this windshield out. In this video, I want to give you a quick tip on a very common problem with these P80 Volvos. May affect other Volvos as well, but these P80s is what I know, what I deal with. And this particular problem deals with your ECT sensor. You look at your cylinder head, your upper radiator hose comes in here, and this sensor is right here. On the early P80 cars with the N engines, this sensor is screwed in with a 19 millimeter. They're normally not in there that tight. You don't have to put them in there too tight. If you do, you'll probably crack your thermostat housing or strip out the threads. But anyway, this sensor tells the computer if the engine is hot or cold and how hot or how cold it is. The computer takes that information from this sensor and helps the car idle along with your O2 sensor and your mass airflow sensor, and this will make your car run rich or lean. Matter of fact, if your engine is actually cold and this sensor tells the computer that the engine is hot, your engine will run so lean that it probably won't start. It'll say, hey, this engine's already hot, give it very little fuel, boom, car not starting. On the other hand, if the engine is hot and this sensor is telling the computer that the engine is cold, it will dump too much fuel in the engine and it may flood it out, cause a hard start, cause rough starting idles, things like that, and it'll be blowing black smoke, do all kind of stuff. So I'm gonna put the code number for the sensor right here on the screen, and I'll put it in the remarks, the error code. But if this sensor is bad, it may or may not throw a code. Sometimes if you have an OBD2 tool connected to your OBD2 port, you can read the live data and see what this sensor is telling the computer the engine temperature is. I've also seen where this sensor caused the temperature gauge inside on the dash to bounce around. Run hot, run cold. If you walk out to your car and it's been sitting all night, the engine is ice cold, and you start it up and your temperature gauge reads normal temperature as soon as the engine starts, this sensor is bad. And I tell people all the time, Volvos are sensitive to sensors. You just can't go to Walmart and buy a sensor, put it in your Volvo, man. It is not going to act right. It's not going to like it. But people do it anyway. They'll go buy aftermarket sensors. Doesn't work when you plug it in. It's already acting bad. So you go chasing some other rabbit hole. When it's this sensor, you got to get the good ones. Another symptom of this sensor being bad is you shut the car off and the car is at normal temperature, but your engine coolant fan runs 4 or 5 minutes. It may run an hour. It may cut on while you're in the house sleep, drain your battery. That sensor right there being erratic. But you can't put a cheap Walmart one in there. I'm just saying Walmart doesn't sell these sensors, but you get the point. This inexpensive knockoff parts that people claim are as good as OEM. If you don't get a good one in there, you're going to be fighting this battle over and over again. So replace this ECT sensor with a quality one and you should be good to go. Now, I ordered a brand new one. My daughter's went bad in her car when your car overheated. A lot of times when your car overheats, it destroys those too. When her car overheated, I ordered a brand new one, put it in, lasted 10 days. 10 days later, thing went bad. Had to replace it, put another one in. And I've got one from a junkyard, put it in there. It's been in there ever since. 8 years later. The old used junkyard one, $5 worked fine. But it's got to be the good quality one that Volvo put in the car. So I said all that to say this: if you're having problems starting when the car is cold, it might be your ECT sensor. If you're having problems starting when the car is hot, it might be your ECT sensor. So check out the video, replace that, possibly your thermostat too. Hopefully that'll solve your hard starting, running rich, running lean issues. Thanks for watching. If you feel that this information was useful, please like it and share it with your social media friends. You can subscribe to my channel so that you will get notifications of future videos that I post. You can follow me on Twitter, and if you need to contact me directly, please visit my website. And if you have any questions, leave them below, and someone or myself will reply to them. Again, thank you very much for watching.